Ladies and gents, this is Oliver. I like to say I'm in a bunker I call Studio 72. We do a greetings, intergalactic salute, all the interplanetary time travelers. With so much of that percolating in the news, it couldn't ring more true. Time travel, CERN, AI overlords, missing lists. Now they're tracking missing NASA people that have too much intel. Who knows? But today we're looking at, what are we looking at here? Kitty Cat. Hey, Kitty Cat, how you doing? Yes, I remember you being a great greeter. How's your day? How you doing? How are you? Things going good? You're a survivor. You're resilient. We're all resilient because we're still alive. We're still alive. They haven't got us yet. We're still standing. It's an Elton John song. I'm still standing after all these years. Okay, I won't do that. I'm not a good singer, so karaoke night should be skipped. But I did want to mention a couple of aspects that are happening. Kitty Cat Girl, tell me, you're not Scorpio, are you? Were you the Scorpio greeter, or have you ever had a prenatal chart done, Kitty Cat Girl? Oh, okay. No to both of those? You're not. What's your sun sign? Have you ever had a prenatal chart done? Never. Well, it's interesting because we're kind of in some interesting times, and astrologically speaking, astronomy with the interplanetary aspects that are happening, I'm hit or miss with astrology. I've been exposed whole life. My mother is kind of a grand wizard astro type of phenomenon. And so I was exposed to that. I got a lot of insight, but there's a lot of different people use astrology for different things. So like relationships, it's like, no. That's the worst thing that they did to astrology, is turn it into like people sitting at a bar and it's, let's talk relationships. My brother's a guy who loves space, right? Listen, who doesn't love space? Come on. I'm an Artemis believer. Okay, I'm not a denier. I don't think that they jumped out right at launch. Have you heard this theory? Right at launch, the astronauts bailed. They jumped right out. You can see their white specks there on the video. And as the spaceship went up, the astronauts bailed. It's all a hoax. You got this like flat Earth, anti-NASA. Listen, there's criticism for NASA, but come on. We circled the moon. You got to give them credit for at least circling the moon. They didn't say they set up some sort of pizza shop and, went to war with China on the dark side, right? But there's some interesting things. So I digress. I'm sorry. I wanted to mention a couple of things. Okay, so in the header there, to bring me back to Earth, the header there, I say, hey, Shakita Tooms 67. Good to see you. Thanks for coming down, everybody. I saw a whole bunch of folks jump in. We got a dozen or so folks. I haven't been on for quite a while, a couple different reasons, but no big deal. We're on the brink of, we're in World War IV, and we're on the brink of a nuclear holocaust. So, there's that, right? So, but one of the things I wanted to talk about with the astrology and the aspects is I look for patterns. First of all, it's not for relationships. It's not for dating. Screw all that they've programmed or you've ever been taught. Let all that go. Now, let me take you where my path. Just you don't have to come with me. Listen to where I take it. I look at it as kind of like stranger danger. Okay? And I also look for patterns. So we're looking for patterns, which that's really what it's all about. You go back in time and you look for these patterns. For example, Kaiser, son, I love you. Come on, man. Group hug. Group hug. Group hug, man. Kaiser, son. I think anybody comes and says, I love you, bro. It's like, are you kidding? It's time for a group hug. God almighty. We're on the brink of World War IV. We've survived a potential nuclear holocaust. There's a lot of PTSD with a potential nuclear holocaust. It's not just if we're in the midst of it actively. It's not just that now we're going to survive it with our radiated food. We're going to be bleeding out different areas we don't want to be bleeding out. We're pre-PTSD nuclear holocaust. Are you with me? Pre-PTSD nuclear holocaust. There's things we can do about that. Forest bathing is one of them. Forest bathing is Shinrin Yoku, if I pronounce that right. Japanese, they call it forest bathing. That's where we get our asses out into the forest. Anybody heard that? I love you guys. Anybody ever heard of that? Forest bathing. Forest bathing. We're getting out into the forest. We're getting out into the green space. And, there's that classic stereotype that all the hippies are these tree huggers and things like this. There is some scientific data. If you don't believe me, look it up. There's studies on this about the terpenes, the smells, the fragrances. There's actually a chemical thing that happens when we place our physical bodies into the forest bathing. So the forest bathing is how we counteract this bombardment of chaos. We are under political chaos. Can I get a witness? We're under spiritual chaos. Can I get a witness? Somebody from the back row say, thank you, Jesus. Somebody say hallelujah up front. I want to hear you up front if I can't hear you in the back. We are under spiritual attack. And what more appropriate way to deal with this attack than to get out into God's creation? Even parks will do, although I think that's a compromise. We love Jesus. I love Jesus. We love Jesus. Bonsai is a beautiful thing too. So getting out into the green space and encountering whatever it is out there that we want to encounter. We were going to encounter some things we didn't expect to encounter, but there's therapeutic. We're unplugging. We're unplugging. The cell phones are not with us on the trail. Hopefully, if we're in a park, we don't got them with us in the park. Although I know I carry my phone like it's protection. I want to be able to whip it out and that's the urban jungle that I'm in. But so getting out into that green space, Shinrin Yoku. And look it up. Look up forest bathing. Look up forest bathing because it's a good therapeutic. And we're going to need some therapeutics. I mean, we're under attack. I mean, there's no doubt. We know we're under attack. It didn't actually take Iranian missiles blowing up the Middle East or U.S.-Israeli missiles blowing up the Middle East to realize this is a full-blown attack. The image, let me say this, and I'm a little scatterbrained, just bear with me. Talking about a spiritual attack, there was an image that circulated yesterday that blew my mind. And it's a simple thing, and everyone's been kind of minimizing it and poo-pooing it. It's an Israeli IDF soldier in uniform with an axe smashing the brains out of Jesus. IDF soldier with an axe smashing into the skull of Christ, a statue of Christ. 35,000 Lebanese Christians have been carpet bombed by IDF. just this last couple of weeks, right? So we are seeing that, to me, that image of literally, you can find it. It's gone viral and back around. It actually went around the moon with Artemis. That image has come back. And if it doesn't summarize everything that's going on in the Middle East, everything that's going on with us, with our own government, with ourselves, the spiritual battle within, we find that harmony, not just with forest bathing, but with the psychological well-being, that meditation, the prayer, if you will. Okay, so what we're talking about right now is I'm making a reference to a metaphor, but actually real life meme of the spiritual battle that we're up against right now. The spiritual battle, if you get online, and I love it, the people that are unplugged, I wish I could unplug. I'm actually the opposite. I'm a media hound. And that's why it's really important for me to get out, do some forest bathing, ocean bathing, my art. I mean, I completely unplug and go into the art world. What happened to Taiwan? What would happen to Taiwan in World War III? I think we're in World War IV right now. I think World War III already happened. And I think we're on the brink of exchanging missiles with China, which we would defend Taiwan, right? So, but that's already happening in the Middle East. We have China backing Iran. We've got Russia backing Iran. We've got Pakistan that's trying to play a mediator. And we have the IDF, who has been taking some sort of mild electrocution to Golden Dawn's nuts. And in that electrocution of his gonads, Golden Dawn, President Golden Dawn, has now bent the knee and doing World War IV for what appears to be the IDF. The IDF, Israeli Defense Fund. And so that is a very, very sad situation. Okay, so Kitty Cat asks, well, first of all, you said, wait, you made that? Yeah, you know I'm a painter. This is, the light is horrible on that. There's a lot more blue. That's an ocean wave. I got all these going right here. This one right here, you can see that. This is where we're at. This is the Matador, and this is the running of the bulls. Can't really see that. It's up so close, but that's where we're at right now, with astrologically speaking, metaphorically speaking, spiritually speaking, politically speaking. We are the Matador, and our life depends on getting out of that arena of beating the bull and avoiding the bull horns, if you will. Beautiful belongs. I don't want them in a museum. I want them on your walls. And I'm going to give you a deal that you can't pass up. I'll tell you right now. Everyone needs artwork on their walls, and I've got the deals of original art for your walls. I'll tell you that right now. So this whole World War, we're in World War IV right now. And it looks like it was instigated by Israeli forces. So I digress. I just wanted to burn that image into the audience's mind. Oh, cool! You're into tattoos. Very cool. That image of and you got to go look at it, because I just to verify that I didn't make it up. It's been verified. It's not AI. IDF came out and said, this is one of our soldiers. And then they've done this little kind of tap dance to where they're saying they want to, they're going to discipline him or something, and, probably put him in charge of blowing up children in low income housing in Gaza as punishment, because, but it frames that lack of respect of the relationship of that Zionists have entered. This American Christian Zionism, these Ziocons, they have dragged us into the Middle East to defend Israel as it is bombing multiple partners and now instigated World War IV. It exposes they hate Jesus so much that they're taking an axe and smashing into Jesus's head and neck the statue of Jesus. It is the epic political, social commentary of our situation right now, of what we're dealing with right now. It's no joke. So, and I digress on that. That wasn't the whole thing I wanted to talk about here. So we've been in this cluster of Aries. Okay, so Aries is my second least astrological sign. Aries, it can be beautiful in some cases, where it's the shoot, the sprout, the gardener, right? The rebirth. Aries is numero one. It's the rebirth. But what comes along with Aries is this stubborn mentality. What can come with Aries is danger. It can come to, like, I keep getting this probably because I've been in a few of them. 20 years ago, maybe longer, bar brawls. You know, the bar brawl, where if somebody says something and you're stepping outside and you got his bros and your bros, everyone, all of a sudden we got this little bar brawl going. You know, it was an old thing we used to do. Thank God we survived it, right? That's resilience. That's resilience. With forest bathing, by the way. I survived all that with forest bathing. But the bar brawl, the Aries bar brawl, it's me first and in the ram's head. Bam, bam. You ever seen rams fight? You ever seen Male the Bulls? Bam, bam. This is exactly what's going on in the Middle East, only with weapons of all kinds, right? So it's the Aries cluster, this interplanetary cluster. As we look for patterns, we look for the astro aspect patterns. We're looking for similarities. We're looking for these patterns, as I repeat myself. And those patterns can indicate danger. These patterns can indicate a repetition. For example, let me say this real quick, and then I'll get back on track. Uranus. Uranus is a very slow-moving, controversial planet. It's about every 10 years. I think it's 7 or 8 years. Very slow. It's been in Taurus, which I'm a Taurus sun sign. And so I understand a lot of the Taurus energy. I understand this very well. I understand that very well. And that matador and that bull could also be our own subconscious. If we wanted to step into a little, if you will, Carl Jung type of microanalysis, the bull could be the subconscious that needs to be controlled for our peace of mind, for our well-being, for our survival. For our survival. So if you've got Golden Dawn is the matador, you saw that. He's got his little golden outfit. The matadors often wear these little bejeweled, President Trump would love those little golden matador outfits, right? Couldn't you see Big Don in one of those tight spandex matador outfits? Man, he'd look so cool. And you put him, he's in the arena. Nobody more than the arena. He loves the arena. This guy was born in the arena. He was raised in the arena, and here he is in the arena. He's fighting the bull. As the matador, the bull is President Donald Trump's subconscious mind. Can he get a hold of his ego? Can Donald Trump get a hold of his pride, his narcissism, his man in the arena ego that fuels his scrambled eggs in the morning, if you will? I don't know if you like scrambled eggs. I don't know. I like that with a breakfast taco, but I like over easy, but I can see Golden Dawn liking scrambled eggs. I don't know why. But that is the battle that we have within ourselves, as well as battling other forces, dark forces that are in the Middle East, that are around spiritually, maybe being summoned. As we hear Sam Altman say that they've been doing some experiments that's summoning aliens, maybe summoning demons. I don't know. What are you trying to say, Sam Altman? What's Sam Altman trying to say? Does the U.S. military have a Michael Jackson zombie? I think he does. I think you're on it. I really do. I think you're tapping into it there. So the Aries cluster, the Aries, that means Venus. So, Gabriel, World War IV, it is what it is. Listen, it is what it is. I don't want to break down, even the CIA says it. And if you're going to argue, speaking of gay bros, look at the CIA. The CIA calls this World War III had already happened. They stated it themselves, but whatever. They do make shit up. I'm not making that up. I'm just doing it through analysis, but I digress. Let's move forward. Let's do a little more analysis here on this Aries cluster. The only thing that I don't like more than Aries is it's Scorpio. And that's not this weekend. That's next weekend. So I digress. I didn't want to talk about next weekend quite yet. The full moon in Scorpio, I see massive carnage coming. And you don't have to be a psychic gypsy palm reader, if you will. When we're in World War IV, we're currently bombing ships in the Strait of Hormuz, or I guess it's the Strait of Iran now. And all of this going on. I mean, it's like, oh, whoa, that's a hell of a prediction, bro. This weekend looks ugly. Next weekend looks even nastier with the Scorpio. Scorpio is the revenge. It is the nasty. It is the stalker girlfriend sleeping in a car because she loves you so much. She wants to keep an eye on you out front. This is Scorpio, and I attract a lot of really nutty Scorpio women, and I love it. I love nutty. I love nutty. But Scorpio is not safe, and it's dangerous. And it is the only thing that I like less than the Aries. See, I can't stand narcissists. The self-absorption, the me. That is Aries. It's me first. Me. It's horrible. It's horrible in relationships. It spells divorce when Venus is in Aries. Well, guess what? Venus is in Aries. It's a clusterfuck. There is several planets all in Aries, all stuck in this Aries ram smashing heads cluster of self-absorbed narcissism. So when you see that up in the skies, there's trouble on the horizon. Just like a full moon in Scorpio, not this weekend, next weekend, bloodshed is coming. There's escalation in world war. There's escalation in domestic violence. Just this last weekend, I was thinking about doing a video, and I didn't have it in me. I didn't feel like preaching. It's just a little bit deflated. You know what I mean? But you have to regroup. So I took some time off. I took a little time. Didn't go anywhere, unfortunately. I'm too broke to do anything fun. But so send more canvas, oil paints, and cash, please. And attorneys. That's the line. Send canvas, oil paints, cash, and please send more attorneys. But I digress. I lost my stream of thought there. I was hammering away on the Aries, and the Aries of it being such a strong-headed, stubborn. When you have stubborn personalities like President Trump, you have somebody that is so stubborn like that. Boomers in general, I love elderly people. I really do. I'm not just saying that to say it, but I do say that to say it because I'm going to smack them now. Boomers tend to be, just generally speaking, and God bless you, boomers, I love you. I'm Gen X, by the way. Everyone thinks, oh, you've got gray hair, you're a grandpa. And I'm like, nah, I'm actually a proud Gen Xer. Boomers tend to be self-absorbed. They grew up in the generation where they worked and they could have a wife and afford a house for $5,000 and have a new car. And it was like, you go get yours. I've got mine. Stay off of my lawn, right? It's like one long Clint Eastwood Gran Torino. Boomers remind me of Gran Torino, right? Just if you haven't seen that movie, Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood, get off of my lawn, right? You know, it's like, that's boomers, right? Not all boomers. We got neoliberal boomers here in Portland that just make me want to puke. Oh my God. Fucking neoliberal Democrats destroyed my city. These voters destroyed my state, destroyed my city. I digress. I love the elderly. Love the elderly. I do love the elderly. Just these self-absorbed boomers in their own little fucking worlds. It's too much. It breaks me. It breaks me down. I wish you were president. Are you kidding? They would kill me. You just want me to die. The Avengers will return in World War IV. Kaiser's son. Yes, I appreciate it. But okay, so we're going on. Now listen. I believe, and I just hear me out. I'm going to say some crazy bro shit. This is some crazy bro shit. I believe that President Trump is possessed with some sort of dark forces or demonic energy. And, you know, it sounds a little nutty even saying that out loud. But I believe that. I believe it can happen. And I've seen it before. And I've seen it with friends of mine. I've seen it with family. There is a look to the eye where there's lacking empathy. It's like there's no more feeling your brothers and sisters in the street. There's no more feeling. The feelers are all gone. Like the feelers are gone. Now, some would argue, well, isn't that pre-dementia? Doesn't that happen with Alzheimer's? That is true. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving any kind of direct analysis with Donnie. I call him Donnie, President Trump. But we're clearly dealing with a different person. Now, I don't fall into the camp, the Jimmy Dore camp. You know, Jimmy Dore's, he's a pretty good guy. I mean, you know, the reason I kind of quince is because I remember all the shit, this Bernie Sanders shit. And I hated Bernie Sanders. Burners were like, oh, you know, I was like, you know, I was done. Checking out with the burners. These guys destroyed. But a lot of the burners actually voted for Trump, and after being disgruntled and treated like punks in 2016 with Hillary Clinton stealing all that shit. So we got some of these burners. That's actually what kind of flipped it, if you really want to break it down. So as bad as the burners were, I mean, I've never voted Democrat in my life. You know, I'm a 50 plus dude, Gen Xer. Never fucking. I'm being controlled by Democrats here locally on the county, municipal, state level. Yes, that's true. But on a national stage, I cannot promote this apparatus, these neoliberal cluster fucks of Democrats. I can't do it. And we've been subjected to it. And it creates people like me. I mean, look at me. Angry, hostile, passive-aggressive, politically active. It does things to people. Look at the burners. If you don't believe me, look at the burners. The burners, they went sideways. In fact, the burners were, right? They're out there LARPing. So, all right, let me digress. I want to get back into these astro aspects because there is a couple important things I got to get out here. And I'm getting sidetracked, lost in my own mind. The Aries cluster is very, very unhealthy. And as I'm ranting against the Scorpio, I'm ranting against the neoliberal Democrats. They're all Scorpios to me. It's just a den of Scorpions. The safest place during World War IV was Little St. James. You know, I like your thinking. There's actually, I think there's some scientific data that actually backs that up. Have you read that? I mean, that would be, if you're going to have World War, I mean, let's go to the Caribbean islands. I mean, right? I don't know. Why not? Yachts. It's the boats. That's why all these old people are buying boats. So we're on the brink again. All this crazy. Okay, back to Donnie. Psychoanalysis of Dawn. The demon's possession. There's demons, I believe, have gotten a hold of him. I don't want to blame all of Judaism or all of Israel or all of Judaist members of Israel. I don't want to do that. It's a slippery slope. It's actually a bear trap. It's like getting bear maced in the face from your adversaries and then a bear trap on your leg. You can't, not only is it not true, it's foolish, but the argument is self-defeatist. You're done. They've got you. You're fucking done. You have these groypers, all these groypers just go on and on and on, and they got memes of ugly, grotesque people that they call their enemy, and it's just like, you guys you're self-defeatist. You shoot yourself in your feet when you're making memes of any culture. I don't care who the fuck they are. I mean, and I like memes, and I'm pretty critical of a lot of shit. Fucking you can't do it with Israel. So, but I can't help but think, and as I express myself on X, mainly because it's completely infested with Mossad bots at this point, and Elon looks very comfortable with that, which is most unfortunate, almost as disappointing as Trump taking a knee, is this witchcraft. There is a witchcraft type of phenomenon that they are bringing Christianity and they're pulling Christians. Paula White, this insane evangelical Pentecostal, she looks demon possessed. If anybody should be held accountable for demon possession of Golden Dawn, look into that Paula White. And I mean that. And I survived Pentecostal cult in northern Idaho as a kid. I've seen those guys dance around speaking in tongues a whole lot. I recognize that crazy shit that she does. It's crazy, but it's beyond that. It's not just dancing around, speaking in tongues and doing the weird fucking voodoo dancing around. She's got dark energy and forces with her. And there's a bunch of history. I think she's, it's bad. I don't want to, because I don't have it all in front of me right now, but it's bad, that Paula White lady. But Israel, with this third temple, they need to instigate the war. They had to instigate the battles. They dragged Donnie by his nuts. They've trapped him in Iran. He can't win. They underestimated Iran. I made a video briefly talking about it, just in casual discourse like I'm doing now, on current events, saying you guys are underestimating Iran. These guys are not paragliding fucking Neanderthal cavemen coming in with slingshots. These guys are fucking serious and they're smart. The Persian smart. They are very smart and they're loaded to the teeth. And they've got Russia and China and Pakistan and India who are all armed to the teeth with nuclear armaments. You can't tell me Iran doesn't have nukes right now today. You can't convince me that Iran didn't have nuclear warheads on top of those ballistic missiles, those hypersonic ballistic missiles 5 years ago. You can't tell me that U.S. intelligence doesn't know that. I'm not with the CIA. I'm not with any U.S. intel, and I know that. How do I know that? Right? Well, maybe because I have a little psychic intuition, and maybe I can do a little bit, itty bit of remote viewing. Not solid, but I have looked around, and I watch the videos that the Persians do, where they show you miles and miles and miles of tunnels of their missiles, and miles and miles and miles and miles of all of their watercraft and all of their shit in tunnels deep underground. You don't need to be a psychic gypsy palm reader if you just pay attention and watch to the video. You want to say it's AI? Bullshit. I call bullshit. They're armed to the teeth. If they're friends, if all your friends are doing something, you're gonna play stupid and say, I don't know. I don't know where to get smoke, or I don't know where to do this, or we're not real. These are just because everybody around me has nuclear warheads, just because everybody around me is flying in at the snap of the fingers for my oil to give me radioactive armaments. Japan has Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is no fucking joke, man. I love the Japanese. I love the Japanese culture. So they've got them. And I keep hearing this like dementia, mantra, this dementia mantra, pre-dementia mantra from Golden Dawn that's saying it's all about stopping them getting we can't let them get the nukes. We can't let them, we got to go get the vacuum out the nuclear dust. Nuclear dust? What the fuck is nuclear dust, dude? Have you been snorting? Bro, have you been snorting nuclear dust? Because your behavior makes me think you might be snorting nuclear dust because something's got into your brain, sir. Something has hit you hard, like an axe from IDF on a statue of Jesus hard, very hard. Golden Dawn appears to be possessed. That's the bad news. The good news is that there's cures for demon possession. We can get those spirits out of there. But it's going to take Golden Dawn his own matador battle with the demon bull. It's going to take Dawn himself. He's going to need to turn his life and mind over to Jesus. He's been impersonating that he's cool with Jesus. You've seen all these weird prayer circles and all this weird stuff going on because Donnie doesn't believe in Jesus. Donnie's an atheist. He married into the Mossad mafia with little Jer Bear there, big scary Jared Kushner, right? He's clearly Mossad. He's clearly leading. You got that guy in negotiations with Iran. But what do you expect? What kind of a plea bargain or negotiation you're going to get with Jer Bear and the little dumb nuts Witkoff, the golfer, the dumb nut golfer, caddy boy, Trump's caddy. You can't have those guys in there pretending that they're negotiating when what they're doing is instigating World War IV. They want to drop nukes on Iran. Iran's got them, and they're going to defend themselves. Point blank. Of course, that's my read. Of course, that's my opinion on it, but that's point blank. That's what we're looking at right now. And I'll tell you, if what I'm hearing is true, that they are arguing with Golden Dawn about whether or not to drop nuclear armaments on Iran, I mean, it's going to be sand turned into glass. It's going to be biblical proportions in Scripture of the downfall and the demise of Israel. Now, these guys, when I say witchcraft and spellcasting, it's literal. We're talking about Judaist extremists. They're always attacking the Iranian religious extremists. Let's focus in on the Judaist extremists, where they need red heifers, these purebred red cow, and they need to do these sacrifices to bring back this Moshiach, some sort of Santa Claus of a Messiah, some sort of Easter bunny of a savior complex, because they don't believe in Jesus. They're taking axes to Jesus sculptures now in Lebanon. That's how much they respect Jesus and Jesus' teaching. That's the New Testament. They never made it to the New Testament. They got stuck on the Old Testament, and like a gerbil on a gerbil wheel, they just continue to go around and around and around and around. Little water bottle, and then back on the gerbil wheel. What's a gerbil do? Around and around and around they go. Woo! That's what it's like for these guys. So Golden Dawn, he needs sage. He needs Shinrin Yoku, forest bathing. We got to get him in a wigwam. We need a vision quest. Now, to give Golden Dawn a little credit here with all of this, whatever the fuck is going on, as I laid out my ideas, it's demon possession. There may be some mental capabilities that are kind of glitching out as well. I don't know. Could be. They've got him on 2 cholesterol medications. Some of those cholesterol medications make your neurologically make your brain go shit, go sideways. So that could be possible. But we can, through prayer and through Golden Dawn as his own golden matador in fancy bejeweled golden outfit, if he can slay the beast, slay the witchcraft, slay the beast, slay like a matador, we can get him back. I believe that. I don't think he's gone forever. Now, like I mentioned Jimmy Dore, and then I went out on a branch. Jimmy Dore was saying that he has always been a fuckwad. He's a douche. He's in Jimmy Dore's words. Those weren't his words, but those were my words describing. He's like, you guys are a bunch of idiots. You all believed he was this and that. He was a different person. I believe that we were dealing with a genuine Trump, an American. And I believe that the things that he wanted to do, securing the border, getting rid of some of these criminal sex offenders that had been flown into the country and allowed to come into the country in the tens of millions, that's all beautiful. And he did that. He attempted to do the best that he could do, and I believe he did a pretty good job. Now, his critics are saying that he didn't get enough out. He didn't deport enough people out of there. Okay, well, you could argue that all day long. My point is, back to the original point there, is that I don't believe Jimmy Dore. I don't believe all these people that criticize Trump that have technically a derangement. That word's kind of getting overused. It's kind of like an old sock at this point, right? It's stinky, and it's like, what does it mean? It's pretty obvious people that have Trump derangement syndrome. But, for me, we still have America first. There is Rep. MT Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's no longer a rep, so it's like, wow, I'm going to have to drop the rep name. She's left Congress, but she's got the right idea, working with Ro Khanna on common ground, peace instead of war. That is a populist movement that can be salvaged. We can salvage that. America first is salvageable. I believe that. And it also is magnified, is maybe a benefit. This is a plus of all this carnage and implosion and dark times, especially for the MAGA base. And these people are going through some psychological trials and tribulations. I was writing this down. There's guys, some of these MAGA voters have got voter guilt. They're apologizing. They're saying, I'm sorry. I think I heard some of the big shots. I think maybe even Alex Jones was saying something like this. I know Tucker Carlson was kind of apologetic. I think he even made a video. I don't want to put words into their mouths, but they're saying, hey, I'm sorry. I voted for America first. We thought this was a legitimate guy. Bad things happen to good people. We can have, when you hang out with BB and demonic witchcraft type of operatives, I include Jared, we should pray for Ivanka Trump that she escapes the clutches of Jer Bear, because he clearly is working with black magic and he's involved in all of this. And he technically is probably running the White House with a couple of other operatives there. That's just what it looks like. I could be wrong on that, but so the Aries aspects, when you have stubborn boomers, stubborn people like President Trump that are fixed in their ways, the Aries cluster will create carnage. And it will also create carnage across the board, as we've seen this last weekend with the military. I don't know if he was Marine. Louisiana killed like 7 or 8 of his children, shot his old lady, which they were estranged, and then drove, if I heard the story right, drove across town or somewhere nearby, whatever, and shot and killed his mistress and his girlfriend. This is classic Venus in Aries, in an Aries cluster of all the rest of the interplanetary, all in me first. You have the savagery of Aries, Aries, Greek warrior, Aries. You've got the warrior spirit. You've got the killer. And then Venus, you've got the relationships. So you have this very critical, intense time. And it played out. There was a guy wandering around. I shit you not, if you haven't heard this. There was a guy wandering around on top of pyramids in Mexico. I believe it was the Temple of the Moon. I don't have that one right in front of me. But he's wandering around and all of a sudden pulls out weapons and starts firing rounds off on the temple, on the steps of the ancient temple. I don't think it was Mayan. Mayan were a little more Guatemala, and the Aztecs were up a little bit through there. I don't think it was them. But I don't know. I mean, it's Mesoamerican. It's old enough to be Mesoamerican. But he's firing rounds off, and he killed a couple of them. They were all women. Now, when I was reading that last night and I was digesting that and talking about it with my daughter, I was like, who the fuck does this? It's like, and they're all women. A couple of Canadian women, other women. Was that just chance? I mean, was he aiming at anybody? There was nobody else around but just women. I mean, or is this like a homicidal sociopathic incel? You know, an involuntary celibate? I mean, what's going on here? I'm just trying to break down that dysfunction of how somebody could do that and go up on that type of a level. And then, of course, he killed himself. So, and I think with that other one that I was talking about, where the guy was in the military, young guy, 7, beautiful children. He's got a picture of 7 babies, kills them all. I mean, that is there. You can't get any more selfish or self-centered than harming children, harming your children, harming your wife, your old lady, harming your mistress. Just, you're going to check them all out. You want them all in the afterlife so you can abuse them and beat them up in the afterlife. I mean, I don't know. It's fucking bonkers. But that's exactly what's been playing out. There was a couple of other mass shootings, and they're becoming so frequent. This last weekend, I'm talking recent. I'm connecting the Aries cluster into not only being a part of any type of diplomatic peace treaty or plans just going up in smoke, continual carnage and massacre of women and children across the Middle East. I'm connecting that to the Aries cluster. This is something that we can psychologically, you can connect and you can follow and watch. And I was going to make a video and I didn't. It's like, it's such a dark thing to talk about. Like, okay, well, I'm having psychic intuition and I'm seeing massive carnage and massive people being shot up, and it's Venus in Aries. It's selfish Venus. So that's going to be domestic. That's domestic. That's people that you love, people that you live with, people that you're having affairs with, your family. It can be any type of a relationship type of scenario is Venus, the goddess of love. This is how I interpret it. Just like Mars, we look at it with a military lens. Mars in Aries. So you've got pew, 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 and Venus. You got all this cluster. I don't have it all exactly in front of me. There was, I think, 7 or 8 different aspects, meaning planets. I think there might have been a Chiron or something, that this crazy comet that they throw into things. I really question some of the deep dives people going on. I never poo-poo them because anybody can do it. They probably mock me saying, "Oh, all you're looking for is stranger danger with astrology, and you're so negative. You have nothing positive to say." Well, I just use it as a tool on that benefit. I don't pretend that it's going to be a matchmaker like eHarmony or something. We're going to find that perfect bad boy at the end of the bar, right? Because, you love those bad boys, and they'll be there right at the end of the bar. And I bet he's a Taurus. No, I don't know. All right, so let me wrap up this aspect stuff. It's 50 minutes. My God, I've just rambled and rambled, but it is what it is. That's how it goes here. So we're looking at the 21st, so the 22nd. All right, so the good news is that the Aries cluster and possibly demonic possession or whatever. I was kind of joking that Melania was leaving Trump, and because it kind of looked like she was doing these like independent moves. I don't know if you noticed that. It's like she went out and did this weird presser, and she walked out with a cyborg robot, and I was like, what the fuck is this? By herself? It's like Melania's, wandering. She's lonely, wandering around the White House by herself because Crazy Dawn is screaming and shouting at Mossad operatives in the Situation Room and who they're going to bomb next. I don't know. And then she came out and made that statement about the Jeffrey Epstein. Melania came out and I was like, what's going on? What is she getting ahead of? Right? It's like she's sending out threatening letters, cease to desist and whatever, because people are smearing her and she's standing up for herself. But she's doing that by herself. She was doing those things by herself. So it makes me think that she could be doing some staging for a split. But I don't have inside intel on that. And, I don't. It's all psychic intuition, everything that comes out of me. But so the good news, though, is that we got 23rd. So there's a couple of aspects. Venus is conjunct Uranus. They're both in Taurus. This is Thursday, the 23rd. So you've got Venus and Uranus. Now, Uranus is a bad boy. And like I said, he's slow moving. So, I was reading the mythology of it is somehow Uranus children, there was a lover that had his children come and castrate him and cut his balls off. That's, I don't know what the Uranus? What the holy, I just read that and I was like, they cut his balls off? What the dude is a spooky dude. Now people gloss over it, and I was just watching Pam Gregory, and she just, it's all flowers and embrace love and hug love full on, and Uranus, this wonderful fluffy, and I'm like, that's not what I'm reading about Uranus. Uranus is a bad boy. This is a bad boy. This is an underworld. This is like a godfather. You follow that and what's going on. He's been in Taurus, which, like I said, I'm a Taurus, so I got a triple Gemini, actually. I've got 3 planets in Gemini, including Venus. Venus is clicking into Gemini. Now, this can be unsettling with relationships. If you survived divorce after Venus in Aries, she's only in there for like a few weeks, all right? I'm being a little bit dramatic. But Aries clicking into, she's now in Taurus, so that's where she wants to be. She wants to be embracing the love, and that's where she shines the best. But Uranus, they have this affair. The 23rd, Venus jumps in bed with Uranus. It's 6:58 p.m. West Coast time. The moon has a bad position with the sun. Venus goes into Gemini at 9:03 p.m. This is Thursday, the 23rd, right? So Venus clicks in Gemini. I love Gemini, but Gemini can be a little bit erratic. You have to know how to handle the goddess of love in relationships with the Gemini. Be flexible. Don't be firm and set, and don't get all pissy and don't get arguments over things changing, because that's going to change a lot in Venus. And so there is a trinity between Saturn, Mars, and Mercury. This is Friday, the 24th, a couple of days this weekend. There's this trinity, this bing, this golden trine. Could be harmonic, right? I don't know. Anything with Mars at this point is suspicious in my world. It's the god of war. We're in the middle of World War IV. Keep that in mind. So, but then they say Uranus goes into Gemini. So after 10 years, 7 or 8 years of Uranus being in Taurus, he's following Venus. The slow-moving 10-year calculated stalker and homeboy, Uranus. follows the next day Venus into Gemini. So now you have them both in Gemini, the Godfather and relationships. I look at this as a red flag. I don't look at Uranus as he's a bad boy. I don't look at it as this golden, wonderful, embracing love through a rose garden type of lens that astrologers are like to spin it. I don't do that because it's not the way the spirit world works. It's not the way the cosmos works. It's not some little puppies and kittens and, we're running through roses. No, snap the fuck out of that. We're talking about spiritual warfare. You have to armor up, prepare yourself for that. But this is all happening Saturday with the moon in Leo. And so the moon is at odds with Venus, odds with Uranus. I see Saturday as another extension of the massacre. And that's with the war. It's in relationships. It's also in this series of domestic violent situations that we've experienced this last week, really even beyond that. America has come unglued, if you didn't notice. So then the other thing, and I'll click out of this, the other thing I wanted to mention was, and then there's Sunday. You get Sunday, then there's Monday the 27th. There's things happening. It's very, very lively. The 28th, next week, April 28th, there's a whole bunch of trine type of stuff happening. Now, triangulations, trining can be positive. Now, I'm just leading this on because I do want you to have a heads up on May 1st with the full moon in Scorpio. See that? And the moon is in Scorpio. It's my least favorite. This is the prop, the Taurus, the den of Scorpios. They kill us. It's the exact opposite. Taurus, Scorpio, and Taurus. It's the exact opposite. Opposites, like magnets, will attract. So you will attract. Scorpio is the seductress, beautiful, seductress, intensity. It can be very fiery and very exciting, but also very dangerous. And if you're a risk taker, which unfortunately I have been, then I'm still standing. Cue Elton John. I'm still standing. So that's May 1st, and that's my birthday weekend there. So there's a bunch of stuff happening there, and definitely need to be aware, be conscious, find your happy place. As we were talking briefly earlier in the video, the forest bathing, getting out. Now, living here in the Pacific Northwest, living here in Oregon, 1 hour I'm at the ocean, 1 hour up to east from Portland where I'm at, 1 hour I'm at Mount Hood in the beautiful salmon huckleberry wilderness. We are in a very beautiful privilege. We take for granted the wonderful forest and the green and the healing energy. We take all of this. Even the parks, we have old growth trees in our parks here. And that's the rest of the country doesn't have anything like that. We actually have a little bit of forest bathing in our urban setting. Now, granted, we've been through some rough times with crime, robberies, and houseless, and fentanyl. When the Democrats opened the border for 4 years and flew in all the drug runners and all the people packing drugs, and sanctuary states, sanctuary cities, sanctuary counties like mine, Multnomah County, Oregon, the whole West Coast is sanctuary West Coast, that has created a huge cluster F. Now, you've got some conservatives that are trying to blame the Measure 1110, which decriminalized drugs. Now, that was a factor, but what the conservatives are missing is that the front door was open with the Democrats for 4 years with Biden. That's where the fentanyl came so cheap in Portland that it was free. And then you had Multnomah County providing free pipes, free tents that they were setting up to use as smoking and doing their drugs and rape tents. I was nicknamed them sexual assault rape tents because that was happening too. So you had little communities setting up where you had young women being exploited, being raped, and you had drugs being peddled all over the city. They laid off the police here in Portland. Laid off. They fired. It was basically a communist coup, 2020. And we never recovered. But you have to see the bigger picture of what all of that was going down. All of that coming together by Democrat communist policy. So it wasn't just that they were legalizing the drugs. It was never legal to use drugs in public. And that's something that it just kind of like it slipped through it. If the DA wasn't going to charge, if the courts weren't going to charge, the police weren't going to arrest because it was like citing a citation. And so the whole system began to unravel with this multi-complex of dysfunction junction, okay, if you will. And so there's one of the other things that we did, it was for neuroplasticity. The word for this month or day or year is neuroplasticity. This is what reverses depression. You can even reverse dementia is these cubensis. We legalized cubensis for therapeutic research and therapeutic uses. Now, the use of that has moved so slow. And with the lack of low-income housing, not affordable housing, because the affordable housing isn't affordable. These are $1,500 units. People that aren't working and have got disabilities and got mental health problems, got addiction problems, they aren't making $1,500. They're going to make $1,000 on Social Security. It's going to take them 3 years to even file and get Social Security. If they're lucky, then they got to make their appointments with the medical doctors to get all of that documented. You can't just walk in and say, okay, I'm fucked up. Where's my Social Security check? And then make that go to rent. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It's a very complicated situation and how we got here to Portland. But the plus side is Donald Trump just signed a reform executive order on psychedelics. Why? For mental health and for helping people in the military overcome depression, overcome their thoughts of suicide, overcome their abusive nature of attacking their wives, their children, the neighbors, people in the street, whatever it is. Whatever it is. And you could argue that there could be some demon possession involved with some of this. And I'm not just focusing on the military, although they could be involved. But, you know, when you're dealing with dark forces in that dark underground nature, that's a lot like Uranus. Uranus, the godfather, the ruler of the underworld. When you're dealing with those dark forces, it can take on a demonic possession. I've dealt with addicts who look demon possessed. You talk with them. I do an intake and I sit down and I'm saying, how are things going? You know, I can tell they're not doing well. They don't look good. They got sores all over their body. I can tell it's either meth or fentanyl came later when I was down there. I haven't been in the field for 10, 15 years. I mean, being in the field is going right outside my door. It's right on Foster. I'm in Portland. That's the field, right? So I've never left the field in that sense, but I was specifically working in social services and working with at-risk people, and at-risk youth for years, and even at Bud Clark Commons and volunteered and did some stuff. So it's something that I've seen, and what I'm trying to I digress a little bit there is that there is a potential. Now, drug addiction is different than demon possession, okay? And but they can look combined and they can be combined. Someone who is possessed can turn to these bad habits, this bad behavior. They can get violent. They appear very unstable, and they can start doing erratic type of behavior. And so it's difficult to tell it apart. Now, with Trump, he's not frothing at the mouth. It's not like Rosemary's Baby, but the empathy is gone. Now, it could be if we're going to try to psychoanalyze it, it could be type of neurological. It could be, like I keep repeating, it could be his cholesterol meds. They've got him on 2, I think. I mean, what is he on now? And they're not talking about it. But take him off one of those, if not take them both off of him. I mean, he's got edema, his legs or his feet are swelling. I mean, it's not good. I would stop giving him those boosters. The mRNA boosters are not helping whatever is going on with Golden Dawn. But a couple of things here to wrap up on Golden Dawn is that politically we have America first, okay? This is a coalition. This is not just Republicans. It's not just conservatives. This is MAHA. MAHA with Bobby is ex-Democrats. This is independents. This is non-affiliated. This is the politically houseless. The houseless politically is under that umbrella, and it can be salvaged. But it could be an ugly midterms. I don't want to poo-poo too much right now on the midterms. I could do a whole nother video on it, but because we're going to get shellacked. I'm not going to lie about it. We're going to get shellacked. We, meaning America, because of what is going on with Trump. The Israeli only, I call it Israeli only, not Israeli first. They're not America first. It's not even Israeli first. It's Israel only. This group of MAGA, making Israel great again, MAGA, that has taken over and completely hijacked the entire MAGA. It's dead, but America first is separate. Now, I've said this. I saw this coming last year. I said this last year in video of like, this is how we can frame it. This is how we can salvage it. And I think that Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene, or Mrs. Greene, Mrs. Taylor Greene, she'll always be Congresswoman, right? I don't know. But whatever the title, she's got the right idea. And this is what can, by advancing and voting and encouraging people to vote locally and voting on that level, we can try to salvage and cut into some of the bite that we're facing, the shellacking that's happening. Historically, whatever party is in power in the White House, the other party gains major seats in the House and often in the Senate. This is just politics historically. There's this weird voter type of yin and yang. I don't know what you want to call that. I don't know how you want to frame that, but there's this dynamic that happens. So it's not necessarily being negative or a Debbie Downer. It's not really even being intuitive or psychic. This is the nature of politics. This is why we're in such danger. This is what we're looking at with the midterms, which is just a few months away. What that means is all of the agenda of, instead of the World War and all this shit that he got hijacked with, we got hijacked, but that Trump willingly or got ambushed or willingly subjected himself to, has completely derailed us. And then it's going to become impeach, impeach, impeach. They're going to have committees, and they'll be able to smear, they'll be able to investigate and drill, and it's no longer fun. It's depressing for the entire country, no matter what political affiliation is. We're seeing the attack and demise. It weakens all of us. It weakens the states. It weakens the federation that all of us states belong to. It's very unfortunate. We do not want to be subjected to the Democrats' agenda. And losing the White House in 2028 means the floodgates are open, the fentanyl comes back in, the sanctuary status counties and states never changed. It never changed. So that puts us in great jeopardy, and that, it hardens my heart. That's what I've been, kind of dealing with, dwelling on, and it's like, I'm not gung-ho about Trump. I'm not, it's not like but I'm not a hater. I don't have derangement. I really want what's best for all of us, our collective well-being, I can start quoting Carl Jung. I don't want to do that, but I could. Our political cosmic unconscious. they're in together. If it's possible to even think like that, we have more in common than not. We have common populist goals, and this rescheduling executive order, well, the rescheduling of the cannabis and hemp was golden, but this psychedelic research they're going to do 50 million into that. And of course, he's focusing on the military because Joe Rogan came to him and said, hey, suicide, we're losing more soldiers by suicide than we are in the heated gun battles or in wars or conflicts or whatever the fuck you want to call these military, unauthorized, illegal military endeavors. Adventures, my God. They're calling them fucking adventures. Listen, World War IV is not a fucking adventure. It's a nightmare, and it jeopardizes all of us. And it makes me feel like that's a part of a globalist agenda. Eugenics. Eugenics wants to decrease, cut 8 billion people down to 3 billion or 4 billion. War and famine and I was going to do my little hypodermic, bioweapons. Bioweapons is the quickest way to depopulate. We know that, unfortunately. So, okay, and then one last thing I wanted to say so we've got this weekend, heads up, we're going into World War type of phenomena. We're in World War IV. Let's stop talking about on the brink of it. I even have to catch myself. It's that programming on mainstream media is so strong. But we've got this weekend with the Uranus, after 8 years in Taurus, follows his little lover Venus, the goddess of love, follows right behind her within a day. 1 day. It's 1 day later. Venus goes into Gemini. 1 day later, here comes big bad boy Uranus into Gemini. He can't get enough of the goddess of love, Venus. She's a seductress. You gotta love her. I love Venus. Granted, I'm Taurus, triple Gemini, but who doesn't love Venus? There's some people out there that don't love Venus. That teach their own. Now, one other thing. Oh, my mind is like a wildfire. Thanks for bearing with me, man. It's good to just get this stuff going. I gotta just, it all comes out. The comet. The comet. I can't forget the comet. So one of the things that's happening right now is do I still have that up? Oh yeah, there's forest bathing. It's R3. R3. I got to renew it. They're trying to block me out. The comet's name, oh no, I might be blocked out here. It wants me to disable the ad blocker. So the R3, it's blocking me out. It's pan stars. So R3 pan stars. This is the comet. The comet that's coming in. Now, comets in general make me nervous. Not because it's like Santa Claus and I'm a child and I'm scared. No, it's the way that comets affect the collective. Did it drop me? I think I'm still on. It's hiccuping. I don't know. Are you still there? It says it's still rolling. I think I dropped it. I lost my signal there. The comet. So the comet's coming in, and it's very close right now. And I think it's in between Earth and Mercury or something like that. And the comet is the next, I think it's the 26th. It's the closest to Earth. So comets are another layer on top of this Aries cluster, on top of this Venus and Uranus in Gemini, and these triangulations and these odds. There's these clusters. Anytime we have our solar system in a cluster, clusters of Aries or clusters of Scorpio or clusters of Pisces, whatever it is, it's going to amplify that astrological sign. It's going to amplify those dynamics. So you have all of that clustering in Aries, the clicking into Venus and Uranus into Gemini. There's a lot of instability. And then World War IV, Then next weekend, we have the full moon in Scorpio, my least favorite sign, Scorpio, the opposite of Taurus, Scorpio full moon. And that's my birthday weekend as well. So birthday weekend, Scorpio moon. Happy fucking birthday, boss. And so that is just, I see carnage for the full moon on Scorpio. And then I also see carnage this weekend. Obvious, we're looking at probably bombs dropping tomorrow, or I think I read somewhere maybe Trump is going to extend this treaty. Who the fuck knows? But if he can hold on and let this Aries cluster break up a little bit more with Venus, Gemini, Uranus into Gemini, and get himself, if Don can get himself grounded, get away from this witchcraft and voodoo type of Judaistic extremism that's happening, this Israeli influences from his own family, from his own administration, from his own Reverend Paula White, these extremists, Zio, Khan, pro-war. Where in the Bible, in the New Testament, let's just go right there. Where in the New Testament does it say war is good and the people that stop war will inherit heaven? It doesn't say that. It says the exact opposite. Blessed are the peacemakers. This is, and everybody goes, oh, well, the Old Testament's violent. Oh, there's wars and God's killing lots of people in the Old Testament. Well, you haven't made it to the New Testament yet. See, you've read the Old Testament really good. Wow, nice job. Hey, there's a lot of crazy history there. A lot of crazy fucking history there. Now the New Testament. Now try the New Testament. This is where Jesus comes in as the guiding light. This is where the Father and the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit doesn't want us blowing up the Middle East. The Holy Spirit doesn't want us blasting ancient Persia with their Islamic beliefs and their belief in the spirit world and their beliefs in a God. That's not what our plan is. That's not what God wants us to be doing. That's false prophets. That's false teaching. It should be rebuked. We rebuke you, Satan, in the name of Jesus. Be gone from us. Get behind us, Satan. You are not in control. We are now entering a time of transition and peace. And we need to get Golden Dawn's brain, the Golden Matador. We got to get him. The greatest battle Dawn's ever done is with himself. The greatest battle of Matador Donnie, Matador Trump, is with himself. The charging bull with sharp horns is Dawn's subconscious mind. It's all of ours, but metaphorically, it's very appropriate for him. So we got the comet coming in. Now I'm a little bit scattered. Let me finish my thought on the comet. There's a cult that's called Heaven's Gate that was around in the 90s, where they all put on purple jumper suits. They all put on brand new Nike shoes. And it was called Heaven's Gate. I think they took narcotics and I don't know if it was Kool-Aid. They all killed themselves at the same time. Why? Because they were going to together collectively ride, I think it was Haley Bob's comet, ride this comet that came through in the 90s. Why do I go back that far? Why do I bring that up? Because history has a way of repeating itself. Yes. Uranus in Gemini, World War II. Keep in mind, Uranus is every 10 years, very, very, very slow. It's not like Mercury, the race car driver. It's not like Venus, every 6 weeks or whatever, going around and flipping signs. It's not like that. It's 10-year cycles. World War II. We have World War II LARPing right now in front of us. Literally. Ukraine, Azov Battalion Nazis fighting the Russians, and Russians fighting the Nazis. That's World War II. We're being pulled into it. And now we've got another dynamic and another layer, which is a little bit fresh, a little newer type of trend. Believe me, they will be cycling this out for I'm sure, hundreds of years. But then they're not done with the Uranus and Gemini. It also clicked in our Civil War, our U.S. Civil War, Uranus and Gemini. So, and then, not done, the U.S. Revolutionary War, another click. These are 10-year cycles, and it takes whatever it is, 100 years, 90 years, whatever the cycle is, for Uranus to go through all 12 zodiacs at 7-8 years apiece. But it's very significant that change is on the horizon again. Uranus clicking into Gemini. And this is significant pattern to pay attention to. Pay attention to our lives, but pay attention to the global stage. Most importantly, the global stage and domestic conflict. We're pretty much headed for a civil war here in this country, if you ask me. And now, as we've been saying, had premonitions through the Biden administration, we were this close to World War IV. I don't know how we dodged it. They sort of did spark it with the Ukraine Nazis and arming them against Russia. So, I mean, it did kind of sort of spark there, but now it's full blown. Now we're talking about hypersonic ballistic missiles, and we're talking about nuclear warheads. Russia's right there. Russia's right there ready to defend themselves. And China is right there flying large planes that we see on Flight Radar Tracker. MonkeyWorks is an outstanding guy. We see these large planes coming in with supplies. It's not just the ships. Golden Dawn was saying, oh, yeah, we fired holes into the engine and blew up some Iranian. Then they're saying, wow, hey, there was secret missiles and bombs and weapons on there from China heading to Iran. Oh, wow. You didn't mention that part when you were talking about all the bravado. Now we see why you're blowing up this little old Tuska there. Now we see what's going on. So we got China doing that with airplanes. And they have been doing that since last year. The first round that we were blowing up fucking gravel pits and nuclear dust last year. Not cool. So, I don't know. Is that it? I guess I'm at probably a wrap up there. I always know I get a little long-winded when I lose the crowd. But the aspects, Aries cluster, that's where we've been for weeks. It's obvious. I was going to make a video and I just didn't have it in me to talk about the doom and gloom carnage that I saw coming. And even this weekend, I mean, I still am emotionally digesting the military guy who he's got 8 little kids sitting on a couch. He shot them all. And then he shot the mother. And then he drove to some other place and shot some mistress, some girlfriend. He couldn't let her live. And then he shot himself, of course. So, and then, like I said, there's a lot of them. I didn't have the whole list on there, so it's just so dark. It's like, why in the hell do we want to go through with all that? Okay, so forest bathing. Let me end on this here. I think I've got all of it. I went on about how I think American First is salvageable, and the psychology of American First is in a dark place right now. They're beating up themselves. They feel disappointed. They feel lied to. That's a very dangerous place for voters to be. That will instigate and spark violence in the streets on all kinds of level. Organized, in World War IV, we got all these other countries that want to hurt us because we're hurting them. So you've got those bad players and bad operatives that are going to be awakened. I can see that plain as day. You don't need to be psychic or intuitive, but it's there, and I can see that. On top of not needing that, but I can see it coming. We all can. You can too. It's ugly. And the domestic, and then there's that other dynamic with the domestic where you've got people that are checking out. They're not well. They're depressed. They are a ram's head smashing into another ram's head. This is that Aries cluster. And then you've got Scorpio, which is like a Romeo, an extended version of Romeo and Juliet, only with the entire family. You know, it's like feuding mob families, mob bosses into type of carnage. So the Gemini in Venus, I think, is a welcome, even though it is still has the residue of that Aries energy. So we'll just see how this plays out. I was right about it. I didn't make a video last week, but I was right about all of it coming. And that's exactly what played out. There was multiple shootings. There was mall shootings, multiple shootings, domestic, and then there was the relationships. There was the lieutenant governor. So last week, there was the lieutenant governor. His old lady is going to divorce him. He gets a 2-week notice. He's got to move out. 2 young children. So, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. I didn't even have that out. I forgot about that guy. But there's been a whole bunch of these. It's just that's classic cluster of Aries, especially Venus. He kills his old lady and then shoots himself. This is like a rising star. This guy was like, I guess there was some sort of allegations, sexual assault or something's on the side. His old lady's going to divorce him. Then he shoots himself. His 2 young children are in the house upstairs. One of his children calls 911. Yeah, mom's bleeding pretty bad, or whatever they said. Yeah, dad shot mom. Looks like dad shot dad. One of his own kids, this lieutenant governor. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank on that. I forgot about that guy. That was where it probably started, or around that time. There was a whole series of domestic type of situations. That's classic me first Aries selfishness. You're so selfish, you're going to kill your children. Imagine being so narcissist and sick that you're going to kill your old lady, drive across town or next door, kill your mistress somewhere in the vicinity, and then shoot up. Men are supposed to be protectors of their children. You stand tall and defend your children against the guys that are coming to kill our children. You don't shoot your children. You aren't the bad guy. A soldier. And what timing. As Trump is signing executive orders with Joe Rogan in the White House, that whole event, I watched the whole thing, reel to reel, because I was so ecstatic. I mean, he went across the entire Republican conservative apparatus that is poo-pooed and attacked psychedelics research, attack, calling it Manson, calling it MK Ultra. You can't go anywhere without some conservative puking out their fucking holes. MK Ultra. It's like, shut the fuck up. If you knew anything about research, this neuroplasticity, psychedelics help save lives. It doesn't turn you into Charlie Manson. That was a bad operative. MK Ultra is one of many dozens, blue butterfly, all this shit that the government was doing. That doesn't mean that the psychedelics can't save lives, save the soldiers' lives. And Trump repeated that mantra. That was his focus, was military. He wants to rebuild the military like a Roman leader, Roman emperor. That's where Don's gone. And you remember what happened to Rome, right? We didn't lose that part in the history books, did we? And you've got this entire focus that is selfish, narcissistic. And what gets me is that how come he doesn't realize? How does a narcissist not realize that you're flushing your legacy down the hopper by contradicting and going to war and killing children in their schools? 150, 175, whatever the number, slaughtered Iranian children, a double hit. One missile comes in and the other one's up here doing circles. Then the second missile comes in and hits the exact same spot. They're saying that Palantir's artificial intelligence was running these war missiles, these war drills, these military adventures. So we have Palantir AI blowing up children. No apologies, no whoopsie daisy, no fucking nothing. Denial, and you're going to blame the Iranians and say the Iranians blew up their own kids. Palantir AI. This is the first time in our global history where we have computers in the drones, computers in the missiles, computers, Palantir AI, all the rest of this shit. I'm not a scholar on it, but they're running this entire demise of our nation. And we think it's going to get better in the next 10 years. Like Elon Musk, he's like, oh, this is going to get really great. What? What? I mean, what says eugenics? I'm a eugenicist more than encouraging war and saying that this is going to get great with more AI and more data centers, and we got to suck up more water to cool the data centers because we got to spy on your ass. This is a populist item that we can come together and bond on. Fighting the AI, fighting the data center, fighting for our local water, fighting for our rights on the municipal and state level. This is a populist agenda item, just like peace is now a populist agenda item, where we can reach across the aisle, we can bring in the independents, we can bring in the non-affiliates, but you have to address it just as I have. We don't have to agree on all of this stuff. It's America first. It's not a party. It's a multi-party, multi-affiliate power to the people. And if you can get that messaging out, it's not actually new messaging. If you're smarter than me, and I know most of you are, I'm not saying anything that's new. What's new is successfully getting these people to come down into the same room and sit at the table. That's where things get kind of complicated and we lose some of the dynamics there, is getting all this America first, all these different parties together to come together. But we can do it, and there is some positivity in that. So this forest bathing, Shinrin Yoku, this is therapy. This is your homework. This is from me to you. It's really coming from God, because who made our forest? The great creator. Who made these freshwater glacier? Man, if you haven't been to Oregon, you have no idea how spoiled we are and how awesome we have with the nature. With the nature. Politically, we're being held hostage, and we're going to end up having at least a soft war, political civil war here. Non-violent. I got to be careful when I say that. Shinrin Yoku. Forest bathing. Forest bathing is the practice of immersing yourself in nature in a mindful way, using your senses to derive a whole range of benefits for your physical, mental, emotional, and social health. It is also known as Shinrin Yoku. Shinrin means forest. Yoku, Y-O-K-U. Yoku stands for bathing. The idea took birth in Japan in the 1980s and proved to be a very effective tool to overcoming the ill effects of a hectic life and stressful work environment, and in the middle of dealing with politicians that have dragged us into World War IV. Forest bathing. Now, it seems, oh yeah, bro, yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't poo-poo what I'm talking about and what I'm assigning as your homework for what you need to do as soon as you can. If you can plan it for this weekend, plan it for this week. If you can plan it for next weekend during the Scorpio full moon, get out in the forest. If you can do a camp, do a camp. I like Beverly Beach. It could be a state park. Beverly Beach State Park down at the Oregon coast. It's, you're not totally out in the wilderness. Unfortunately, you got to deal with a lot of people and a lot of people's dogs, a lot of people's pets, a lot of different stuff. But it's $25 for a campsite, and they've got ancient old growth blue spruce, and you've got the ocean there. So you got the blue spruce. That's your forest bathing. They even got a little forest nature trail there at Beverly State Park. Better yet, go the other way. Go up into Salmon Huckleberry Wilderness. Head on up into the Mount Hood Wilderness if you're in Portland, or wherever you are. If you're, obviously, but get out into the forest and meditate. Meditate as you're hiking. Pray as you're hiking. I have the golden chanterelles are coming. The golden chanterelle season. Mushrooms. You like mushrooms? Golden chanterelles. I've got a couple of spots. I'll tell you the road. Not going to tell you my spots. Lolo Pass Road. Heading up towards Mount Hood. Not at Mount Hood, but heading up towards Mount Hood. Beautiful drive right in there. Lolo Pass Road. There's Ramona Falls up in there. That's prime golden chanterelle season, and we're very, very close. We had a mild winter, plenty of rain. We got all these climate hysterics. They're like, oh my God, the snowpack. We had record rainfall, guys. Yes, the snowpack is going to be a little bit light. It's not the end. We're not going to die, okay? So go out there looking for your mushrooms. Golden chanterelles is my number one. I got a couple of spots. Get out there, meditate in the forest, get in touch, and ask God, ask the Holy Spirit to come guide you, and ask God, what is it that you want me to do? Where is it that you want me to go? Oh, great Creator, God, heaven, Jesus, Yahweh, whatever you want to call that great Creator that you're seeking and to touch and connect with. Ask, and you shall receive. Be careful what you ask for. Be very careful. I got brothers like, oh man, I sure wish I had a girlfriend. I'm like, oh, well, you won't. Shh. Hold your tongue. Hush up. Be careful what you ask for. You're going to be asking for a girlfriend? Oh shit. You may end up getting more than one. One's going to exhaust you. Two might kill you. Now you're going to have multiple. But I say that, I jest. We all love, right? I mean, bring them. I can kiss them all. I got enough. We can kiss them all. The point is be careful what you ask for, and focus on what do you, great Creator, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? Not, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want this, I want that, me. That's where we've been stuck for weeks, and we're on the brink of a nuclear holocaust. All right? So, and that comet coming in, the reason I brought up that Heaven's Gate, just to recap on that, is that the comet comes in, and whether it's causation or correlation, comets tend to do weird things to people's behavior. I'm not totally sure what the F is this all about, but I know patterns, and I recognize it. And I saw that people got a little nutty with the 3-eye atlas. They started thinking it was alien invasions and all this other shit. Very sane, sober, scientific minds began to sound a little fucking off, if you will, with the 3-eye atlas. A little bit off, if you will. Okay, and to each their own. It's all good. Get at it. You're a big boy. You're big ladies. You can do it. But heads up, because it's like a Kill Bill episode for me. You know what I mean? It's like the wedding massacre. It's like, I see this carnage, and I see we're in carnage time. We've been in carnage time. When military guys are massacring 8 little kids sitting on a couch, we're in spiritual battle, spiritual warfare. It's massacre time. And I see that coming down the pipeline. This weekend, this little love affair with Venus and Uranus. Now, you can try to spin your way out of Uranus. And I do that it's leaving Taurus and it's going into Gemini. But don't forget the timeline that I just suggested about Uranus. Civil War. World War II. The Revolutionary War. All Uranus in Gemini. It's the twins. It's the unpredictable. It's the unstable. It is great change. So if you're looking for great change, rejoice. But get your grounding. Get into that Shinrin Yoku. Get into the forest bathing. Get into the artwork bathing. That's what I call it, art bathing. And we are blessed. We are so blessed here in throughout all the carnage and all of the addiction and violence living in the city. We have these wonderful urban forest bathing parks. You don't have to go far. In fact, the bus will take you to multiple, some of them are secret spots. I don't want to tell you where they are, but I'll just point you a general direction. Forest Park. Forest Park is the largest in the city urban park in America. It's larger than New York Grand Central, and it's way fucking cooler. And there's trails all through there. Now be careful, because there's campers in there. There's houseless campers in there. I've come across people that scared the fucking shit out of me. I'm not gonna. Right on the other side of the St. John's Bridge, there's used to be a whole fucking encampment up there. You know, there's a lot of people that are not well, and whether they know of the comet coming, I'm not sure. But they may be under the influence of the comet if you believe in those type of cosmic type of beings, creatures, things. I don't want to be too esoteric or, because all I'm really saying is that I believe that comets can actually affect people that aren't aware that they're there. But they also obviously directly affect people that do know they're there, and it or coming in, or it's creating this and they're doing the weird fucking erratic things like shooting up their families and their 7 beautiful children in Louisiana. Rest in peace, beautiful, being with Jesus now. So, all right, I think that's enough preaching. I think that's enough of all of it. You guys have got your assignments. Hopefully I'll be back in a couple of days. The last time I said that, I think it was 6 weeks. So big hugs. God bless. I'll see you on the other side.